Life yoga came about a long time ago when I woke up one morning and realized that I could not move. Quite honestly, I was sleeping for many, many hours with back pain. I remember one time I didn't even know I'd been asleep for how long, and I woke up. Nearly 14 to 16 hours had passed, and I woke up very exhausted, couldn't move. I was lying on my front, and I couldn't do anything with my back. I mean, that's just from a physical point of view, okay? I just could not move. Um, Even at that point, I had an idea that something was wrong, but I didn't pay that much attention. I also remember that, as well as with the physical pain, that there was also the fact that I was going through a very traumatic situation in my life, and anybody that goes through trauma and goes through shock will go through a process of I don't want any more to hurt me, so you tighten up. And I remember just being very tight overall, but I remember my posture was very distinct, chest out, shoulders back, and that was the undoing of everything as far as I'm concerned. It was something that I followed because people had told me, to if you want to pull it together, if you want to look as though you're coping, if you want to have confidence, then you must adopt this kind of posture. It was a complete load of rubbish, quite honestly. And I didn't discover that until later on. So in any case, after reading a few books on energy that spoke of the various energies internally that are related to posture, muscles, and the way we hold ourselves, I thought, well, it looks like there's something here. But I think I was still too young and arrogant at the time to completely believe it. But my pains were telling me, no, you've got to believe in this. You've got to try to at least give it a go. So as soon as I started delving into the energy side of things a little bit more and how they related to my physical body, and I started immediately feeling better emotionally and mentally. And life yoga began all those years ago just by me wanting to be curious, I guess, in wanting to fix myself, and in that respect now there are lots of people that are doing it and enjoying it and loving it, and it's making their lives better. What more could you ask, really? I believe that everybody has a personal story and experience to tell, and you have to have discovered pain before you can discover any kind of peace. I mean, it sounds very philosophical and it sounds very deep and meaningful, but unless you know what pain is and you know how to free yourself from that pain, and you know that it's a very universal thing, you can't convey that message to others unless you've experienced that yourself. And I was in a great deal of pain, and the wonderful thing that I think the wonderful thing that I love about life yoga and what I've been able to do, very fortunately, is that there are people who are getting older by virtue chronologically of time, but they're not getting old. And the remarkable thing is that you can actually reverse that process. And I have wonderful students, okay, of all different ages, of all different colors, ethnicities, backgrounds, lifestyles, and they all feel very, very, very good for their age. My own sister, she's 34 and she's a bundle of joy completely. Hazel, who's 75, and she can do all the things that people a quarter of her age couldn't do. I mean, I've seen teenagers in the class in the same class as Hazel, and she's been able to do what she can do in the stretches, whereas the youngsters just can't. And I find it incredibly inspiring to see people who give it as much as they do, and they feel brilliant for it and look great for it as well. In this day and age, there's a lot of pressure on individuals. So personal performance for everybody can create some kind of anxiety. So with the amount of pressure that's placed upon us to try to look our best, and God, there's a lot of that. People are doing as much as they can to improve their self-image to their detriment sometimes, to achieve the best. If you don't have the greatest, flashiest car, if you don't have the nicest clothes, if you don't have the look, then you're considered to be not as worthy or deemed as worthy. It puts you in a spiral of low self-esteem. The pressure out there to reach for the stars every day is immense. Some people you see opt out, and for me it shows in their bodies because they don't tend to have that nice natural this is me confidence about them. They tend to be quite sunken in. And then you get people who are constant strivers. They actually believe the messages of, yes, you must have more. Yes, you must have more. It's a complete illusion, of course. At the end of the day, you know, you collect things along your life, you let certain things go, and then you wait for the inevitable, wherever that's going to be. But to be honest, the pressure that's placed on people, on their bodies, it makes them then put even more pressure on themselves. And that becomes a vicious cycle. If you look at animals, animals don't look like they're pressured by anything. They react naturally and instinctively. If a dog is happy to see you, it's going to wag its tail and it's going to look at you with beaming eyes and it's going to run in, it's going to play. If it's sad, it will stick its head in between its chest. And whatever an animal expresses, it's natural and you can tell what it's feeling. Human beings, we hide things. We will try not to show what we're feeling. We will try to give off an air of something else so as to mislead people into thinking that we are something else. We're not. We're normal organisms who should be normal and natural in every respect, but we don't get that. What we get is a facade. What we get is a false image of something. Okay, we get somebody who's trying not to show it or hide it, and then of course this leads to other manufactured emotions as well. And this is the thing with the beauty of life yoga, is that it takes everything back to basics. It teaches you, okay, the most natural way to stand so that your body can then reinvigorate you with its own powerful energy. Every single person has got an immense amount of power in them. Immense. But very rarely do they actually find a way to touch upon it. I was very fortunate years ago. I discovered a way to touch upon the powerful system of the human energy system. And since I've been doing it in a very scientific and logical way by teaching yoga classes, it's done the exact same thing for anybody else who's come across it. The system is simple, it's basic. It takes you to the ABC. How do you stand? How are you moving? How are you breathing? What's your view on life? How do you feel in your guts? How do you feel in your heart? How do you feel in your shoulders? Where is your pain? Let's alleviate some of that pain, make a person better. Boom. End of story. It's in its beauty, that's the beauty of life yoga, is how simple it is. And in the same way that an animal moves gracefully, elegantly, lions, cats, anything that's on all fours, the way it moves and the way it looks and observes its way through life, with pride, with dignity. If you look at animals, especially the cat family, the dog family, they have an air of dignity about what they are and who they are. Nowadays, you don't see that so much often. You see people who are actually very nervous about themselves. They're quite shy about themselves. They hide themselves, or they're trying to put on something that's a false sense of pride or something. These are all manufactured to make us come across in a way that we think is going to get us by. And quite often, yes, it does get us by until pain creeps in. Once pain creeps in, and pain's a whole different language of its own, then we start to wonder, what's all this about? And then we try to alleviate that pain. But unless you're actually going to the cause of the pain, you have the symptom trying to fix the cause. That never works. It will never work. Okay, so in doing life yoga, you're trying to look at the cause of the pain, whether it's the neck, whether it's the shoulders, whether it's the back, whether it's the heart, whatever it is, and you're trying to, from there, help to free it, relieve it, and then live life. As simple as that.